Kicking off with the weekend vibes. Fins talk, we go live. Bobby fans and fish tank Hank. Miami Dolphins, we got your back. Saturday noon is the place to be. Catching Dolphins talking fantasy. From the field to the fan debate. Fins talk today, don't be late. Fins up, we ride until the end with Bobby and Hank. They're your best friends. Podcast popping every week, no delay. Join the crew, Fins talk today. Live chatting, stats so prime. Miami hustle all the time. News and views will pave the way. Dive on in, it's Fins talk today. Top plays and what went wrong. Breaking down each game so strong. Fans united, feel the beat. Fins talk, Taylor can't be beat. Fins up, we ride until the end with Bobby and Hank. They're your best friends. Podcast popping every week, no delay. Join the crew, Fins talk today. Fins up, we ride until the end with Bobby.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to Fins Talk today on FTSN. I'm Bobby Fins Talk, joined always by my brother, the legend, the man, the myth, Fish Tank Hank. Hank, how you doing, my man?
Yo, I'm out to eat today, and this is where I am in Fort Lauderdale, folks, if you want to look it up. This is a fabulous Italian place, and from what I understand, they make homemade pasta here. So, I came to check it out.
There you go. So we'll get a live food review, hopefully, before the end of this of how that food is. So for those Dolphin fans who go to the Dolphin games, if you want some good Italian food, you can go check out Vitella. And Fish Tank will let you know how that homemade spaghetti is going. Elwood in the house. What is up, my man? Welcome
What's up,
to the
Elwood?
show. Appreciate you. Everyone who's coming in here. Dive Bar. Bobby's in the house. Bobby of the Dive Bar podcast. My brother, how are you? Good day, good afternoon, my man. Appreciate you stopping in here. A lot to talk about today, Fish Tank.
Yes, sir.
This could have been, I was, I'm going to be honest with you, Fish Tank. I was sitting, thinking, as the week was going, before this whole Janu news came up, I was thinking, maybe this weekend Fish Tank and I could chill, and maybe I'll tell Hank, hey, let's take the Saturday, let's just enjoy our day. And then of course I'm sitting down, I took a break off of work and I'm going through my phone, and I see Adam Schefter, breaking news. I see a Dolphin logo. Oh, there it is. Jalen Ramsey. Something went down. It's Janu Smith. And I'm like, literally, I went, oh, what the is this? And my wife's like,
hello.
So, it just doesn't end. First off, Lou, what's up, Lou? Lou from Dade in the house. Appreciate you. Man, I'm like, what the hell? So I jumped on. I started talking about it. And Hank is unbothered by the Fins drama. He's just enjoying life, my man. That's how it is, DSG. But Fish Tank.
I do it. Hey, I try to do it and live in style.
Yes.
For everybody else that's too busy to do it.
That's right, man. You're styling and profiling, like the great Ric Flair would say. That's your life.
And people, I do understand. Remember, I used to work 18-hour days, 7 days a week, and all that stuff too. So take a break, though. We're going to talk Dolphins, and trust me,
Dolphins.
There's some stuff going on.
There's plenty to talk about. Can't we just get to the season without any headaches? And no, we can't. But I have to ask you, Fish Tank, we're awaiting, we're a day away, from possibly Jalen Ramsey getting traded. But, that's what we thought we were looking forward to, but turn around and now we have this whole Janu Smith situation. What's going on with Janu Smith? Well, he approached the Dolphins for an extension, wants to rework a deal with Miami to stay in Miami. Miami, I guess, does not want to do that. So they say, hey, let's get into conversations with the Pittsburgh Steelers about trading away Janu. And I guess they gave him permission to seek a trade. So what is your reaction when you saw that? I know you probably haven't been on social media too much, but when you heard that news, what was your reaction to seeing Janu possibly being traded?
I was like, to the Steelers? And I think of their defense. You know what I mean? I totally think of their defense when I think Steelers across the board. And obviously, they need offense. You know that they're desperate. You know, Steelers always need offensive players, no matter what's going on. You know what I mean? So I think if we're getting a trade with it, like if we were to get one of their defensive studs, Bobby, oh, I'd be happy, but who knows? But I'm unhappy about the fact that there's obviously a problem in our locker room. You know what I mean? And you know, we all kind of are starting to have an idea what the problem is. Now, do we actually know that that's definitely the problem yet? I don't know. That's three people now. That's three people. Now, are they unhappy with Greer and their contracts? Are they unhappy with McDaniel? Are they unhappy with Miami as a whole? And that's the whole thing where, you know, every one of us can have an opinion or whatever, but none of us know the answers to any of those questions I just asked. We could speculate, of course, but I'm going to wait till I see what happens, you know, with the players first. I'm not going to jump to any conclusions about this, that, or the other thing, but Jonnu Smith, if we lose him, we're going to have some problems.
So, what's up, Daniel? Daniel in the house. No one should be surprised by the Dolphins trading Jonnu Smith. If you've been paying attention, we're in the beginning stage of a retooled youth movement. Listen, fair enough. Daniel, what I will say, though, that's a little late in the offseason to be deciding to do a youth movement. You know, they could have moved him on a little earlier, and maybe they should have drafted a tight end a little bit earlier or drafted a tight end at all. There's a lot of good ones in this draft. So this wasn't about some kind of, let's not give Miami the benefit of the doubt or kind of give them credit and go, hey, man, Miami had this foresight that they were going to trade Jonnu. No, This was obviously off the cuff that Jonnu, they somehow, some way, they weren't expecting Jonnu supposedly to come up and say, hey, you know, I really like it here. I did really good last year. I broke the records for most receptions, yards, and touchdowns by a tight end. 88, 863, and 80 and 8 touchdowns. I broke all these records. I really like it here in Miami. I was the most consistent weapon next to Devon Achane in Miami's offense. I think I want to rework a deal where I could stay here a little bit longer and be paid fairly. Miami said, no, we're good. So Miami trades Jonnu Smith for a draft pick to Pittsburgh or whomever, and they're sitting there with Pharaoh Brown, Jalen Conyers, and Julian Hill. There was no retooled youth movement mindset for Miami. Let's with respect. There's no foresight on that, and that goes on Greer and whomever the hell. That's my problem here, Fish Tank. I'll just talk about when I was talking about this, and I keep thinking about it. If Miami, in any sense in the way, knew, hey, we got Jonnu for one more year. We're not going to extend him. If we're not going to extend him, we got him for one more year, and we know who our backups are. Okay, if he approaches us, because you're not stupid, you know a player could come to you.
Yeah.
You know, especially in his last year. Hey, does he really like it here? He's probably going to come to us for a deal. If you already made that decision that you're not going to extend him, sure, you don't have to go out and straight up trade him out unless he asks for a deal, but you could start prepping for his departure. And let's not pretend that now Miami, Miami doesn't know how to use tight ends, man. That's why, the tight ends don't fit their offense. Yeah. 88 receptions, 860 some odd yards, 8 touchdowns. That's what Jonnu Smith did for Miami last year. He was the most consistent offensive weapon next to Devon Achane. If you couldn't rely, if it wasn't Devon Achane getting the ball and producing plays, it was Jonnu Smith, no matter who was the quarterback.
Yeah.
So this wasn't some idea. And with respect to Daniel, now they could probably think to do that, but you don't need a youth movement in your tight end room. He was here for a year. You're talking youth movement. You're talking about, receiver. You're talking about the secondary, whatever. Go there. But this ain't no youth movement. This was a forced departure if it goes down that way. So I just want to throw that out. Stanza's in the house. He says he wants flowers.
Son.
He wants flowers. He says McDisaster is a complete joke. What an embarrassment. And we're going to get up there. What's up, Bleezy?
Hey. Son, listen to me. I heard your cry. And I came through.
Oh, there it is. There's the flowers. There's
okay, Junior. Here's your flowers. Fresh.
So, why is he talking about?
Don't mess with me, boys. I got it down.
Yeah, you're ready to go. You're ready to go. And let's talk about that.
And just think, I'm out to eat. So
there you go. Evan says, thanks, Papa. So, I don't know. It really blows because, right now the secondary, even before Jalen Ramsey was moved, was already a big need for me. You knew I was talking about Jedi Barrett in the draft. I wanted to go corner. So trading Ramsey makes it even a deeper a hole to try to fix for Miami. But then you look at trading Jonnu Smith and you're thinking, oh, well, don't worry, man. We got Pharaoh Brown. We got Julian Hill. Wait, what? Excuse me? That, Hank and I both had 9 wins this year, 9-8, which is lower than we usually do, 9-8. Now you take Jonnu, who was a part of that 9-8, that we're like, hey, maybe the reason why there's 5 primetime games, because there's the ingredients that Miami could be the offense they once were. You take away Jonnu, and now, you're like, damn. First off, Hate Football Podcast in the house. Q, who started yesterday with FTSN on College Blitz. So awesome to see you in here, my man. Appreciate you, brother. Listen, let me tell you. So talking about Pittsburgh very quick. I know Barry Jackson said that if Miami trades Jonnu and Jalen Ramsey for draft picks, Miami could have up to $28 million in cap. Now the cap hit is huge, right? We know that. That's going to kill us this year and next. But it would be $28 million in cap, and then you could go in and try to, get some corners, veteran corners, try to fix up this roster as much as you can before the start of the season. But I would love that if Miami was to make the trade for Jonnu, because supposedly Pittsburgh says they got way too many tight ends. They're like, why do we need Jonnu? Well, obviously Arthur Smith is there, who is his head coach in Atlanta, offensive coordinator offensive coordinator Tennessee. So he has that relationship already in Pittsburgh. Makes sense in the world for Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
This is what I would do, Fish Tank. I know you were talking about one of those defensive stouts. If Ramsey for Joey Porter Jr., that wouldn't happen, but I'd love that. But get me Jonnu for Darnell Washington, the tight end from Georgia a couple years back, who I was banging the table for. I'd love that. I'd be down with that. Talk about youth movement. Daniel would be on the money on that, and I'd be all for it. There would be no complaints on my part. There's Daniel, right there. I think guys, Miami wants to run 11 personnel. They need a tight end that can block. Armando Salgado has suggested Darnell Washington. I would love that. Darnell could block, but he can also catch. And he's young, he's raw, but he's talented as hell. He was sat behind Brock Bowers for those years and didn't get as much love as he should. So if that was the case, Daniel, Hank, Evan, whomever, I'd be ecstatic because Evan knows how much I love Darnell Washington coming out of this draft.
I'm right there with you on Darnell. I thought he could be something really special when he came out. So, and if you load him up in this offense, he could, like you said, he can do very well on this team, taking Jonnu's spot, because you got to remember, we didn't have any big bodies, and that's why they kept going to Jonnu over and over and over, because they didn't have anybody that can get up there and get the ball like him.
Joe Story in the house, appreciate you tuning in, my man. He's asked, what about Kyle Pitts? So, well, that deal would be, for me, I don't think they would trade Jonnu for Kyle Pitts straight up. Maybe Jalen Ramsey and for Kyle Pitts. Again, I wouldn't hate that at all for Atlanta. I would not hate Kyle Pitts. If you were to make Jalen Ramsey for Kyle Pitts, I'd be down with that. And then you trade Jonnu for a draft pick. I'd be okay with Kyle Pitts. I don't know how much. I don't think he's much of a blocking tight end. He's more like a big-bodied wide receiver playing tight end. But I'm a big fan of Kyle Pitts and would love to have him 100%. McD could ruin my love for this team. He keeps crapping himself. I'm gluten for punishment. No one's gonna ruin the love for my team, but but I get it. I understand the mindset. But let's talk about that. Let's get into Mike McDaniel for a little bit. Because
Let's do that.
Let's just get into it.
Mr. Sneakers himself.
Mr. Sneakers with capris pulled up to his thing, whatever the hell's going on there. But anyway, when before he got moved to Miami, before he was the head coach of the Dolphins, thank you, Q. Q's lives in Atlanta. He's a 49ers fan, but he follows Atlanta pretty closely, so he would know. So we get his opinion on Kyle Pitts. But when Mike McDaniel was coming on, before he was brought on, I was on board with the whole get a veteran coach, and I'm still for that. I don't care. A guy who's been fired before, bring him on. I don't care who it is. I wanted a veteran head coach. Yeah. They talked about Mike McDaniel. They showed his picture with all scruffy hair, and oh, dude, look at him. That's my coach. He looked like an IT guy. No disrespect to IT guys. He looks like that guy that you'd call up from the basement to go check out your computer. And I'm like, I don't know about that. Oh, but dude, he comes in, wins the hearts of Miami fans by his quirkiness. You see how Tua lit up on the airplane when Big D was giving him all the love, and and then you saw the first season. They get Tyreek, they get Taron Armstead. You see the love, you see the roster, you see what they're doing. It gets exciting. Oh my goodness, the almost the largest scoring game in history. You see all this, and the fans fell in love with it. And I'm like, hey, you know what? And there were some hiccups. Finstanza calling out hiccups. He's like, man, I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like this part. And, of course, winning heals everything, or it max everything. And I remember, and then we was getting to that second year, and then you see more of these hiccups and these weird calls, and then, you're kind of like, and I mean, Finstanza started going, dude, I don't know. I hate his play calling. Blah, blah. And I'm like, Evan, think about it. He's going off his second year, I don't want to hear all that. Blah, blah, blah. Third year comes around, whatever, and stupid, bad calls. Can't even answer a question. Every time he's on the mic, you have to go like this to your headphones just to hear and see what the hell he's trying to say. The other day he was talking about Jalen Ramsey. I asked him about Jalen Ramsey, and the right answer would just be this: hey, look, I'm only worried about the players on this football team right now in this practice field. That situation will handle itself. Great player. We're happy. We appreciate him on this team, but we're worried about the guys on the field. That's it. That's all you needed to say. What I heard was, and it was like, what did you say? Now, you saw it last year. I talked about it a lot. Evan was on it as more extreme, but was the lack of control of this football team, the discipline, again, when your star player, the best player on your team, voted on by the peers of the NFL, the number one player in the NFL, walks off the field halfway through the game, quits on your team, walks off. You obviously have no control, no respect of the veterans of your football team. They don't give a damn about you. They just play for your team. You happen to be the guy who's standing there. That's it. Oh, no, Bobby, he's the coach. They respect. No, they don't. Yeah. He comes out the last thing in the season and talks about, well, we got to change the culture. We have guys that were coming in late to the meetings, and finding wasn't working, and, blah, blah, blah. And then there it is. There it is. Now, Ramsey, we knew about Tyreek Hill. We're trying to talk about Tyreek getting moved on, being traded. Ramsey comes out. That's a surprise. Ramsey wants to be moved by Miami. Miami's exploring trade options. They admit it. He goes out, and then you hear the reports. The reason why he wants to get traded is not because of money, not because of, there you go, you got that food going. We'll see it, testing it out. It's because he does not respect nor want to play for Coach Mike McDaniel, which is crazy. Not so much, but that's crazy for McDaniel. Now, and then we get Jonnu Smith, who had a career year in Miami, has the records for all of Miami's tight end records in one season. He wants a new deal. We're going to trade him off. Yeah. Then Tyreek yesterday on a stream admits out loud, not only did we have all the off the field drama, then we had the field drama. Now we have this on a live stream. He knows he's being recorded. He knows he has all these microphones, and out loud he admits, Yeah, no, I wanted to punch him. I'm paraphrasing. I don't have to think. I wanted to knock him out when I wasn't getting the ball. Coach McDaniel. What the hell happened with Coach McDaniel?
You don't do that.
No. So
you don't do that.
No. So what's
Even
your
if
reaction
you hate
to that?
his guts, you don't say that.
Let me see here. But anyway, very quick, your reaction on the Tyreek. You say you don't say that. But like, to me, we all know the star receivers want the ball.
Yeah.
You know, we know that. I know Evan, that was one of Evan's complaints because he was wondering, why the hell are these guys not demanding the ball? Now, in a way, going, hey, man, I'm here. Throw me the goddamn ball. You know, that's a different story. That I'm fine with because you are who you are. Now, saying I wanted to punch my coach in the face while you're still playing for that guy. And then, they're talking about Tyreek wanted to be. Now, the only honest thing Tyreek said last week or this week was, I don't deserve to be captain. No, you freaking don't.
No, you don't.
Absolutely don't.
Absolutely not.
You know what I mean? There's no freaking way that you should be a captain because of what you've done off the field consistently, what you did on the field last year, and what you just brought up right now. You don't want this guy being the leader of your locker room. You don't want this guy being the voice of the young, trying to lead your young guys who are coming into this roster.
Yeah.
This is it's ridiculous. With all respect.
You can't be doing that and expect to keep the locker room at the same time, And that's my chicken parm. That's my friend pasta. That's my wife.
There you go. All Italian. Everything in that Picture was Italian, by the way.
Everything was, including the wife.
That's right. I know that.
But this chicken parm, it's fabulous. And the pasta, perfect. They cooked it perfect.
So Fish Tank is on lunch as we're doing the show. So he's giving a live review of the restaurant. They're an Italian restaurant in Fort Lauderdale. Fish Tank, what's the name of that place one more time?
Vitolo.
There you go, guys. So if you're going to Miami, or if you're in Miami, you're going to go see that game. You're going to a game in Miami. Go to Fort Lauderdale. You want some good Italian food? Go check them out. Sammy in the house of Finns TV. What's up, my brother? Jelly Bean, thank you for watching. Tyreek is displaying. He should have been in captain. Oh my goodness. So Colas says the Dolphins need to get rid of Tyreek and McDaniel needs to take control of this team. Well, and that's something, Colas. First off, really cool to see you in here. But I brought that up for Mike McDaniel to legitimately somehow, some way, 3 years in, control the narrative and change the culture. He needed to get rid of those guys. He needed to get rid of those type of the Tyreek Hills and the Ramseys and whatever, and just move on from them. Not more because Ramsey was bad. Just you got to put your footprint on this team. Now, Teron Armstead is a guy I think that you could have easily went to Teron Armstead, kept him on your team if he would have stayed and said, "Hey, Teron, listen, I don't, I know it's been fun the last couple of years, but I need to be a little harder. I need you to have my back." Teron Armstead probably would have been like, "Yes, yeah, I'm with you," because he's a team guy. He's that type of veteran. That's the guy you want to. Jonnu Smith is one of those guys. Jonnu is one of those guys, Fish Tank, that you go, "Hey, Jonnu, look, man, I know I've been laid back and I've been cool with somebody, but dude, we can't have this. You see what happened last year? I need you to be one of these leading examples for me and have my back." You know what, Coach? Damn right. That's why you keep a Jonnu Smith and you trade a Tyreek.
Yes. It's ass backwards, Bobby. They're not even close to what they should be doing. You're losing players left and right, okay? And something's going on. Because we're not just losing players, we're losing good players. And when you get somebody that's one of those players that always works hard, always puts in the extra, and everything else, and he's walking off the field on you, it might not be the player.
And that's the other thing, right? So, the question is, what the hell happened with Coach Mike McDaniel? How did it fall so? I know, right? But the problem is, the truth is, the reality of the situation is that he never was ready. He's not ready. And this shows it. The last few years have shown it. Last couple of years have shown it. And this situation right now, all these situations in Miami show it.
He was only an offensive coordinator for 1 year.
Yeah, and not even then, because Shanahan called the plays. That's what's my problem. When people are like, we got to make him the head coach. He has not even been an offensive coordinator.
It didn't make,
and notice Miami was the only team. I'll say this again. I've been saying this forever. Miami was the only team that called him to interview him as head coach.
Yep.
No other team did. They did. They brought him in. To me, again, I think he was hired as a lame duck coach. I think he was hired to be that. Let's make him the coach, and let's see what happens after a year. Let the team fall apart. We get rid of him, and we bring on someone else, a more veteran coach, whoever's ready to come off.
Really?
What did they do? They found out Tyreek Hill was available. They go get Tyreek. They signed Terron Armstead. They didn't realize how better this team was going to be, how explosive it was going to be, and how McDaniel's influence on Tua was going to get Tua to be all kumbaya freaking yah. He lights it up, which is awesome. That's when they go, oh, shoot, dude, we need to go get another guy. Go get Jalen Ramsey. We think we're going to make a run. They didn't make a run. They fell off at the end of the season, got bounced at the end because Tua got hurt. And then, of course, the second year, he plays through the season, falls off at the end. Third year, off and on, bounce, and we go from there. So I don't think he ever was ready. Again, you would hope that somehow, some way, we don't know how this season's going to play out.
No.
Right? We could pretend we're going to know how it plays out. We have a good inkling how it may play out, but we don't know. They could surprise us. McDaniel could come out and with the weapons they've added and the team that they put together and the team that they're going to continue to put together before the season starts, and they light it up, and that would be amazing because we're Dolphin fans. But at the same time, when you're seeing all this shit, forgive me, coming into the thing, and it's like, Bobby's trying hard, but we're all hungry now. That's all right. That's okay. Guys, if you're in South Florida, don't go nowhere else. Go to Vitello. That's where you need to go.
I'm here, man. This food is fabulous, folks. I don't usually come down to Lauderdale Beach. I usually go to Hollywood or something else, but my wife had to get her car put in the shop. So they said they're going to take forever to do the maintenance. I said, let's go down to the beach. We can get something to eat, and I can broadcast from there. So I'm trying the food and letting you folks know, if you come to see the Dolphins and you're down in Fort Lauderdale Beach, this place is fabulous.
There you go. There you go. We didn't know we were doing a live show. I didn't know we were doing a live show from Vitello's, but now we are. And it's a hit so far. It is a hit. And the music is really nice, and they're accommodating because they got a little loud. And Kelly's very convincing. She got them to turn down the damn music. It's too loud. And they went, okay, yes, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am.
I did.
Yeah, I know. I heard it. It was scared the hell out of me. I was like, oh my God. No, I'm just
hey, everybody's very nice here. They come up here like this now.
Yeah, that's right.
The chef actually was following us. He was driving behind us. Chef.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he just came over. He was like, I was driving behind you before.
Yeah, they all know. They know the car. Q, you know what? Honestly, yes, I am considering between, and Evan's right, by the way, the next comment that just came up. I am between, maybe even both, but I would love to go to Atlanta and or Indianapolis, because they're about 4 hours apart from me each game. So yes, Q, I am considering coming to Atlanta to watch the Dolphins play, if not for just at Indianapolis, but also Atlanta, since they're both 4 hours apart. It is a podcast, not a broadcast. LOL. Bobby only eats lunch at 3 p.m. and dinner at 9 p.m. That's about right. Hey. I will, my brother. Once I know, I'll let you know, my man.
Look, since I've been to my new home, I have been partying basically every day, every afternoon, every evening, and late into the morning till 1, 2 a.m. closing the bars down with my wife.
Yeah.
Now, I don't drink, but my wife sure does. That's a lot of drinking, folks.
Fish Tank doesn't drink, but when I was in town, we did share a shot. I remember he told me, Bobby, I said, Hank, I don't drink. I really don't. I'll have a beer with friends, one beer. That's what I do. I don't, but I said, I'll take a shot with you, Fish Tank. I'll do that. And I remember he goes, you're going to love it. It's not that bad. Actually, it's actually pretty good. Kelly's like, trust me, this is good. And I said, all right. And we were at it was at Hard Rock. It was before the game, Fish Tank, and the Carolina game. And I remember I went like that. I drink it. And I remember saying to myself, I'm gonna be brave. I'll be good. Fish Tank, what do you think? I go, Hank, it's pure fucking gasoline. He started dying. I go, God, what is this? What is this? So Hank doesn't drink, but when he does, it's pure freaking gasoline. He's hardcore, man.
Hey, Bobby, I had to go for a little bit of a ride. When I go, I go.
That's right. You need that kick. Oh,
hey,
man, that was hilarious.
I just don't want people to get confused, though. I do party.
You do party. That's a fact. In other ways, you party, not the drinking, but...
Hey, I'm a green kind of guy. It's just the way it is.
It's what you do, man. You're flying high, brother, and you don't have a plane.
Ozzy Osbourne.
Hey, you know what, Elwood? Talking about Cooking Network, first off, Fids Talk FTSN Extra, which the new channel I just started with some extra stuff. We'll have we started College Blitz yesterday. We have Real Talk Wrestling on there. Overtime will be on there. We got Doll's Diaries going to be up on there. And then the fantasy football content, a lot of it's going to be on there. And Sundays, is one of the, it's called Cooking. Oh my goodness. Let me see if I could find that name. It's not important what the name is right now until he announces it. But if I could find it, because I remember that time when I went on my show one time on the network, and I saw we were live, and I didn't even know, and I was like, "Damn, he was a chef." One of Justin Burley, one of the host of Fantasy Now Plus team there, Fish Tank. They're going to probably be on 7 days a week on different slots between FTSN and FTSN Extra. And one of the shows they do on Sunday, which I thought was so freaking cool. That was the coolest thing, that he was a chef and he was cooking from his giant kitchen steak. And I'm just getting hungry. It was early in the morning. What the hell is he cooking that for? Insights and bites. So if you love fantasy football, fantasy sports, you love great content, you love FTSN, go check out Fantasy Now Plus. They got their own channel as well. They got a website. I mean, those guys are the real freaking deal, and I'm proud to have them on FTSN. But they got a lot of cool stuff brewing. So, between Fish Tank eating at a restaurant, Justin cooking in his kitchen with his chef's gear on, all that extra stuff, may have to do an FTSN cooking channel,
Hey,
maybe.
Bobby, you know what's going to happen this year?
What's that?
I'm going to go tailgate, and I'm going to interrupt you people when you do your broadcast and show you all this food that the people all around me make. They don't want me to bring or make anything. They do it all. But
that's true. Fish Tank, he might be right. Bobby and Hank only drink because Hank and I don't drink. We only drink because we had to put up with with Evan that week. Nah, Evan's a
hey.
In spite of what you guys see on the shows, Evan is an awesome dude, man, and he is an awesome dude on the shows. But Evan, behind the scenes when the cameras are off, A plus individual, no doubt, my brother there. But my goodness, Fish Tank. Let me ask you this. If Miami does trade Janu, we're at 9-8. Miami trades Janu. Does that change anything in regards of win prediction at this time for you?
No.
Okay. You're still good with it, right?
We're still in the off season.
Yeah.
And like you said, there are a lot of tight ends out there. Nothing for nothing. Chris Greer's a pain in the butt, but that's one thing he's good at, is getting some talent after people are willing to let it go. Now, he tends to pick injured players most of the time instead of, trying. He always tries to, be a healer, I guess, and bring injured players, hoping that they'll be their previous self. But that never happens. It's never happened that I've seen anyway. Have you?
No. Cam Smith. Elwood just brought up Cam Smith. He can't even stay healthy. He got hurt in OTAs the other day. So it just doesn't end. You're going to go into this season with, right now at least, before we don't know how it's going to finish up. But right now, you're supposed to, if you trade Jalen Ramsey, you're relying on Jason Marshall, Cam Smith, Kader Kohu, Storm Duck to be your corners. You're in your secondary. Cam Smith, who you drafted in the second round, who you put the pressure on, as Chris Greer would say, if going to put you in the fire, basically throw you out there, you're going to have to live up to expectations. He can't even get on the field. So I'm with you. Where is
he hasn't gotten on the field, but now all of a sudden he's good enough. He's got to be thrown out there and sink or swim. I don't understand that.
It's ridiculous. But let me ask you this. We'll wrap this up because I want you to finish eating and be able to enjoy your meal and relax with your wife. But I want to ask you one more thing. Where is your patience meter with Mike McDaniel? How much pressure is on him? Where are you where it's like, hey, we got to make a freaking move here in that coaching spot?
Well, we're not going to know anything until this season kicks off.
Absolutely. We don't know until the season is over, but I'm asking, like, at least right now.
Well, I'm saying kicks off. However, if he didn't start winning early and often, he might go quick during the year. That's my prediction. If he doesn't win often and early, I think they'll get rid of him before the end of the season, because the end of the season is going to be a nightmare. And if you can't win those games you're supposed to, he won't be around. There's no way. Unless Ross already plans on keeping him regardless of the outcome this year.
Yeah, we don't know what happens behind the scenes. I was asking your opinion, and I think you're giving it. And so just let's see how let's ride out this season and see how it goes and go from there. I get that. I'm with you. First off, with 5 primetime games, and obviously we talked about, no matter how you feel about this roster, the first half of the season looks pretty doable, where it looks like, hey, Miami could win these games. If Miami ends up crap in the bed,
yeah,
and then on primetime they look even worse, that could just force Ross and Greer's hand. Greer, as much as Greer should be bounced too. Daniel says, I'm with McDaniel. We can't keep riding the hamster wheel. I'm assuming, every 3 to 4 years, letting go your coach. The problem is right now, how I feel. I'm with you, Daniel, where it's like, we're not getting rid of him right now, right? It's going to happen. We move on. Now, if the Dolphins keep, especially with talent, they don't do anything, or again, it's a mess. It's a joke in Miami. It's a circus in Miami right now. There's a lot of talking heads, and they're not good ones. So, and he's the coach, and it falls on him. So it's not a hamster wheel to me right now. Yeah. When I look at Miami, that I see a hamster wheel. That's what I see. It looks fun, but I wouldn't want to be on it. And so,
to keep
it's
people
fun to watch,
rotating in and out. Look at the Steelers. Look at the Steelers.
Yeah.
Consistent. Over and over and over and over. What is one thing the Steelers have always done? They've always kept their coaches a while. Always.
Yeah.
You got to be there long enough and get in a groove. And the same thing happened to the legendary Don Shula. Okay? He went from the Indianapolis Colts to the Miami Dolphins. And he had the tag of he couldn't win a title game, a championship, and all that stuff. Then he went to Miami, and they were losing. So, you never know. Once people get into their environment, sometimes they're not that comfortable in the beginning. But, man, this is his 3rd year, right, Bobby?
Yeah, and this is going on his 4th year, isn't it? Am I crazy? I thought it was 4th year. But you might be right.
Whatever it is, right. It might be his 4th year. I don't know.
Keep riding the hamster wheel. Yes, but the Steelers also haven't won a playoff game in 9 years. So
we haven't done it in 25. So guess what?
There you go. They've won a Super Bowl, in this lifetime.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Good day, gentlemen. How much do you think Finn should pay Smith? I think DSG is I think DSG has it with another $2 million, another year. Give him another year and another $2 million. I'm down with that. think that's fair enough.
Totally down with that.
But again, Daniel, I'm not against that at all. If they decide not to do it, if they trade in for a draft pick and or Darnell Washington, I'm 100% okay with that.
Yeah.
Octane genius. Andy Reid couldn't win one in Philly. Andy Reid at least went to 4 Super Bowls, right? Was it 4 Super Bowl or 4 NFC championships in Philly? Went to a Super Bowl in Philly. Was a winning coach in Philly. Give me Andy Reid, Philadelphia Andy Reid any day of the week in Miami, and I'm happy. In the playoffs, winning the playoff games, getting into the Super Bowl, having that opportunity. I mean, the drama between Donovan McNabb and Terrell Owens, what that was able to do. Come on.
Yeah. Hey, Bobby, you don't have to worry about being in a hurry for me and my lunch.
Say what?
It's gone.
Did you already? There you go. But I get it. I understand what you get. But again, I think McDaniel. Do I think McDaniel could be a good head coach one day? Maybe. Yes. I think, wherever he goes, it's like Brian Flores. Flores, I think, will be a better head coach and once he gets another job, because it's that learning experience you get in your first time. Flores' thing was, hey, maybe I need to be a little more even keel when it comes to certain personalities. I can't be the same with every other guy. I got to be partnered up with the front office instead of butting heads with the front office. Obviously you don't want to, you hold on to your character. You don't want to tank. You don't want to sneak and do stupid things, but maybe work that out and then with your personality, be a good coach. Because what he did with Miami when Miami had nothing was impressive. McDaniel, on the other hand, goes into a thing going, hey, I know it works because it worked. I know that my quirkiness and getting along with players, that can bring out the best in players that haven't hit their ceiling yet, i.e. Tua. But at the same time, I have to understand there are some veteran players that don't like that. They want a coach who's stern a little bit and matter of fact, and I got to bring that in. I know what works and what doesn't work. So do I think I don't know if he could do that in Miami, because it might be a little too late. But I think if he gets fired after this season, that's because if he wins, that would be awesome for everybody. We'll be happy because he's winning and we're winning, and that's great. But if he doesn't and he let go, probably goes back to San Francisco or anywhere, maybe he's offensive coordinator for 2 to 3 years, gets another opportunity down the line, and then you might see a different head coach. People go, oh man, I told you we should never fire McDaniel. No, you had to. This had to happen. It's the same thing with Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill was like this. I like Tannehill, but throughout years, Tannehill was like this. He had some fluctuations about, but when he hit Tennessee, he went, he had Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry had Marcus Mariota, and they didn't do a damn thing. When he had Tannehill, they went to the AFC Championship. There's times where a change of scenery is good. Learning experiences are good. So we will see. I'm not saying fire McDaniel right now, but if it continues on this trend, there has to be a strong consideration at the end of the year if it's like this.
That whole Flores situation, I don't really blame Flores. I really don't. And let me tell you why. Flores, like you said, he was doing it with nothing. He was creating a winning atmosphere without having the talent to do it. Okay? That's hard to do. In the NFL, that is dang hard to do. That is no easy task. Now, he might have been a little rough around the edges for some players. Too bad. Too bad. You're being paid to be there and do what he says. Do it. It's that simple. We're adults. You go to work, you do what your boss says, unless it's something sexual or something you obviously don't want, advances or something like that, of course. But typically you go in and you do what the boss says and you get the job done. Well, the problem with Flores was he wouldn't accept the Miami Dolphins BS of fooling around, behind closed doors. He wanted no part of it. And he made that known. He let them know, and they did it anyway with him on the watch. And he said, that's not going to happen anymore. I don't need this garbage. And that's when he said something. Can't say I blame him, He kind of got screwed around by the Miami Dolphins organization because he wouldn't purposely lose. Period. It's really that simple.
And I will say too, Eric says Flores wouldn't tolerate all this bull at BS going on. No, he wouldn't. I'll tell you what though, Jalen Ramsey wouldn't be requesting a trade. I don't believe. Calais Campbell would not have signed. Calais Campbell would have re-signed with the Dolphins.
I guarantee you, if we had Flores, we would have been.
He would have been the right coach for this. The only issue is that we would have had a different quarterback, which I know a lot of people wouldn't have mind, but that would have been probably the difference in that situation. Was the quarterback situation, because we know how that happened with Tua, or maybe just wouldn't work because of the quarterback situation.
And Flores was right. He was right. He wanted a different quarterback. You should have let him have who he wanted.
Sure, absolutely.
They do that with every damn coach. Why didn't they do it with ours?
Q says Flores learned from the Belichick style and learned from Belichick and his style of coaching. That wasn't for Tua. Evan, in a year you'll want the new guy fired. yeah, that's the hamster wheel. Daniel was like, woohoo! No, he couldn't, and he couldn't, and that's just what it is. That's why you got to. That's where you would give McDaniel his flowers. He was able to get the best out of Tua Tagovailoa. That's one thing he did that was right, that he should keep going on as a head coach, no matter if it's Miami or wherever else. He should keep that part of him because he knows how to do it. He knows how to get the best out of a guy who feels, but many people think is broken. He got the best out of Tua. That's where you get his flowers. The other stuff is where it's like, okay, that's nice, dude. You can't hang your hat on that forever. You got to show some other stuff. But anyway, it is what it is. But guys, that's about wraps it up. We appreciate everyone who's tuning in. I will be back on later this afternoon with No Holds Barred with Josh Kimmel. Make sure to tune into that. We appreciate you all. Joseph said, who cares about coaching style Tua prefers? Even after the easier coaching and improving under McDaniel, Tua is still not it. Well, there you go. That's another day, another show. But that's a wrap for here on Fins Talk today. Fishing, any final thoughts?
Hey, got a little overcast here today, so it makes it beautiful down here in Fort Lauderdale. I'm having a great time since I moved. I haven't been able to do any dolphin stuff and things like that because, nothing's going on yet. However, I have been eating some tasty food and getting fat again. Well, not again. I was still fat. Never forget that. Can we take that
life,
out?
Brother. We're live, bro. No, just
No, I want to thank everybody for coming out and putting up with my craziness. And that's all I got, Bobby.
There you go. All right, everybody. We appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you so much. Again, I'll be on later this afternoon. Q, I'll talk to you soon. Daniel, Elwood, DSG, Finstanza. I mean, my goodness, Octane. We had a lot of people watching. Eric, Hammer Time, Bleezy. Forgive me if I miss you. G, Kevin, Colas, everyone. Thank you, Sammy, Lou, everyone who tuned in. We appreciate you. Bobby for the Dive Bar Podcast. Guys, go check out the Dive Bar Podcast with Bobby and the crew. Go check out Sammy on Fins TV, George on the Fins Faithful Podcast, Q, the Football Podcast, and now, of course, College Blitz. We thank you all for watching, like and subscribe, and most importantly, Dolphin fans, as always, fins up.
Fins up.